Welcome to VAFA Tragics. Thank you for joining us again this week. Now, we are back to 4 on the panel, but before we welcome back the long-awaited return of Marty Callaghan, we welcome our women's football reporter, Nicole Erasmus.
Thanks for having me. I look really forward to talking about the women's sections.
We look forward to it. And as I said, we are back to 4, and he has returned after more than a year away from the Tragics table. Marty Callaghan, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Nick. Yes, one nude nut out, one nude nut in.
A like for a like.
Follically challenged, really represented on the Tragics.
You cannot grow grass on a busy street.
And Brenton Mann, welcome back.
Welcome, Nick, Nicole, and Marty.
Thank you.
Always good to have Marty back, isn't it?
Now, you had mentioned before the show, Andrew has left us and he's away for another 3 weeks.
So he'd be out rested, wouldn't he? Rested? Yeah.
I'd say so.
So you scroll through Instagram during the day and you come up across a Instagram post from one Andrew Leonard, the standard airport. I'm going away, it's all about me, I'm jetting away, you guys are staying in cold Melbourne, I'm going to the European summer. So cliche airport photo, as you'll see on the screen now. Before Samwas, via London, via Hong Kong, and did I mention we are #children free? And sitting by his passport and Cathay Pacific airline ticket is would hope it's a Tabilk Chardonnay, Marty.
Well, I'm sure it was. It certainly had the right colour. It was a Tabilk Chardonnay.
Was it a James Halliday wine of the week, would you think?
Oh, nothing but the best for our Lenny.
Nothing but the best. It's really getting a bit sick.
Let's go into plays of the week. Brenton, we'll go straight back to you, mate.
Now, I got a bit of flack last year about mentioning St John's maybe a little bit too much. But I'm going to go to St John's. It's taken me to episode 3. A great man for the St John's Old Collegiate Football Club, Kane Arnold, played his 200th game on the weekend, and he's a man that's ingrained in that football club, a dual premiership player in 2005 and 2011. And the Jocks got up for him against an old arch rival in Thuripenola on the weekend by 4 goals. And so it was a great day for St John's.
And St John's first win of the season.
Yes, first win for senior coach Anthony Brannan as well.
Fantastic. Marty?
Well, I actually thought that there was a couple of things here. I think if we have a look at Nick Nagel from Powerhouse, 12 goals on the weekend to make it 24. That's a terrific outcome, really, isn't it?
It's not bad. Averaging 8 a game. Not bad at all.
It's a really good effort. Yeah.
24 for the season and Powerhouse looking fantastic.
Well, you wouldn't suggest, and I'm not being cruel here, but you wouldn't suggest that sometimes with a lot of the Irish boys down there that he's not going to get great delivery to him. So, 12 in any game, particularly down there at Powerhouse, a terrific effort.
I think
well
you
done.
can thank Sammy Confay, who's back down at Powerhouse this year, for that perfect delivery.
Well, at least he's not running around on the VFL field like our man Christian Burgess.
That's true, and he's doing very good things out at Coburg. Nicole, your performance of the week?
Mine would have to be Old Trinity's Georgia Flighter, who kicked 10 goals over the weekend, which takes her tally for the first 3 rounds to 17.
Not bad at all.
Georgia really leading the way at Old Trinity, and I have gone with the Mayor St Leo's. Kings of the close shave at the moment. They had a 2-point win against Old Paradians last week, and they went 1 closer this week against Melbourne High School All Boys with a 1-point win. So they're sitting 2-1, 6 on the ladder in a very strong Division 2, but Mayor St Leo's get my performance of the week. Now let's move straight into William Buck Premier. At the moment we have 3 undefeated sides, Collegians, St Kevin's and Old Zaverians. They're all impressing. Who has been, Brenton, I'll go to you, the most impressive over the first 3 rounds and why?
I think for me it'd be Collegians sitting atop the ladder with a percentage of 167.04. Now the doubters may say they've beaten St Bees Montane Tigers, the Blacks and Beaumaris, who are the bottom 3 sides. They've beaten them convincingly. The average winning margin is 40 points. They're averaging 100 points per game, and they're holding sides to 60 points per game as well. So they're defending very well and also attacking.
On that, they were very strong defensively last year. So they worked very hard at holding sides down. They didn't actually score a lot of goals last year in Premier, but this year, obviously, there's a greater emphasis on going forward. So, yes, they've been very good.
The ins are very noticeable as well. They're not big names, but they seem to be gelling extremely well. The likes of Kenny Ong, Kalen Post, Nick Dixon, Corey Cassidy, Kyle Emily, and Viv Mitchie, of course, ex-Melbourne and Casey Scorpion.
We can't forget the return too of Lockie Ferguson.
Lockie Ferguson, he's averaging 3 goals a game, kicked 9 for the season. But they're multiple goal kickers as well. They got 11 goal kickers against Beaumaris. They're averaging 9 multiple goal kickers per game. So they're spreading the load, which is what you need to do in this day and age of football. You can't be relying on 1 or 2 forward targets. They're spreading the load. Now finishes from 2014 when they were runner-up to Blacks. They've gone 8th in 2015 and 7th in 2016. So I think they are extremely impressive to be sitting atop the ladder after 3 rounds.
They did turn over a lot of their list though, too, so I think that's perhaps a reason why. But again, with a lot of these young players coming back in.
So this week they've got OMs, who are 7th. Now they're the 4th bottom side, so they beat the bottom 4 sides. They go 4 and zip.
OMs did come within 3 points.
Yes.
3 points of.
It's a very even William Buck Premier this year.
Mm.
And then they've got Old Trinity at Daly, and then they got Scobbs, the big test at Harry Trott Oval. So we're going to learn more about collegians in the next 3 weeks, I think.
I think we will. And Marty, your opinion differs slightly on this.
Well, having seen collegians in a practice match, and I know it's only a practice match, but I've also firsthand seen St Kevin's Old Boys and Old Zavs under the lights in the opening round. To be honest, I think that the margin when in round 1 where Old Zaverians beat D-Lar under lights was flattering to D-Lar in many ways. Old Zavs were very strong, and the ball would have spent 70 to 80% of its time in the from the centre, forward of the centre to centre half forward, full forward for Old Zaverians. The defence of D-Lar really held up quite strongly, but outside of a 15-minute burst in the third quarter with D-Lar in round 1, Old Zavs completely dominated the game. I then saw them against D-Lar against St Kevin's the following week. To be honest, D-Lar again were very disappointing, but I thought that the sheer dominance of that performance by Old Zaverians, they've maintained a really strong group from the premiership side from last year, added in a couple of extra players such as Tim Golds joining from the AFL off Carlton's list. They've added at the right age group, 22, 23, 24, 25. That's the prime time to add players in.
Do you think that at the moment, because across the last 3 games have kicked 7 goals in a quarter throughout every single one of the games, do you think they're not putting it together for 4 quarters, or they're just getting it done because that's all they need to do at this time of the year?
It's round 3.
Yeah.
You don't win premierships in round 3.
No, you don't. No.
That said, when they do need to turn it on, I mean, they are just relentless. I mean, in many ways, they probably don't blow sides away. I mean, outside, you've just said there, and you're right, 7 goals in the last quarter against D-Lar, 7 in the third quarter against OMs, and another 7 in the first quarter against St Bede's Mentone Tigers. But the reality is that they just roll on, and you have to lift your game to come to them, because they just relentlessly keep coming at you all day.
I've gone with St Kevin's for numerous reasons. I've seen them a couple of times this year. Round 1 against University Blues, they were relentless in a 42-point victory, and I think it looks a lot better now too that we've seen Blues win their last 2 and looking really, really strong under James Walker. And they've beaten De La Salle, but as you said, De La Salle were disappointing, and Adrian Indovino kicked the last 4 goals of the game.
Cheap, and he admits it, and the players and the club admit that was St Kevin's have put the cue in the rack.
Yeah. So you could have said that could have been also a blowout.
Yes.
And then 39 against Old Trinity on the weekend, which all but for the third quarter where Old Trinity made a sensational comeback, St Kevin's really had that in the bag. Now, it looks to me at the moment that St Kevin's, they look like they've had an extra month's pre-season, the way that they're playing, it looks like they're ready to go from round 1. Whereas a lot of teams might be getting used to things, trying out a few new tactics, game plans. St Kevin's are ready to go under Shannon Grant at the moment, and they're executing exactly how they want to. Stephen Salopek made his return from retirement.
He saw the recruits in the off-season, maybe thought I'm going to snag another premiership.
He makes a big difference.
He makes a big difference, I agree, but given how well they've started, do they need him?
Well, if you look at the way they've performed, I would have said that their contested ball in the midfield has been their strength, but maybe they've missed one outside runner, of which Stephen Salopek can provide. Nick Wood has been their best player. Jerry Gleeson was fantastic again on the weekend. Ben Dowd has been fantastic. But I also love, and this is why I'm saying St Kevin's, because I love their young schoolboys. Michael Di Natale we know a fair bit about. He won the league best and fairest in under-19s, captained the grand final win, and got best on ground in the grand final. And Thomas Jock, someone I didn't know a lot about, but he's playing across half-back at the moment, and the way he's just swooping in and cutting off a lot of forward thrust from the opposition, the way they've got him working is fantastic. So I think St Kevin's are probably situated above the other 2 at the moment in terms of their form right now.
So we've got those 3. Is the next best Marty De La Sallians? Are the next best De La Sallians? Sorry. What's held them back in the first 2 weeks? The talent is there. Names on.
They played Old
Anthony Ferrado is one of the elite ruckmen in the competition.
So he's only played 1 game. He played on Saturday against Old Melburnians because he has been at Richmond.
Yes.
Look, yes, we could say that there have been a number of injuries at D-La. So Pickett played his first game in the weekend. We know how explosive Pickett is. And also I think what you need to consider is that sides need to, you just can't have, we were just talking about spreading goals, goal kickers and goals amongst numbers of players and amongst the team. D-La have been relying upon Indovino because they haven't had another forward. Now, on Saturday against OMs, there was Pickett,
Scipione,
Shipper out. So yes, he was there. Indy was there, and the big boy from Collingwood who kicked 3 on the weekend too. Richardson was there as well.
Okay.
So there's 4 goal kickers, and we started to kick running goals.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, when defences have got to pick up, when the best defender gets someone, then the third defender doesn't have an easy night because he's got to make a decision. Do I go to Indovino, or do I go to Pickett, or do I go to a small? And if those are working, that makes it harder. At this stage, D-La hasn't had that. Now, they did get them back. They also had Ferrato in the ruck, which gave them first use.
Yep.
I mean, that said, I think Matt Cullinan's been absolutely terrific in the ruck leading up to it. But again, he was undersized against Mark Jamer. I mean, most people are undersized against Mark, but I'd suggest that he toiled manfully, but he's still coming to terms with amateur footy, having come from Ballarat.
Well, they've lost their first 2 games to Zavs and Scott, which is nothing to sneeze at. You're not going to be too disappointed with them. And they did beat All Melburnians by 28 on the weekend. Jason Tutt and the Williams brothers are playing very well, so I don't think they'd be too...
What we know about D-La, they can come with a rush, can't they? They can come with a real rush.
Well, we saw it 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. They can come with a real rush.
If the club gets... if it has... And like all clubs, if it has an injury-free session or it gets players back, so Pickett coming back in helps. Joe Black did his ACL last year around 5 or 6, so he hopefully is back round 6, round 7. Tom Carey, another one of the off-season recruits, comes in, and once we get some game time into him, and there might be some gems in the under-19s that we need to have a look at some stage during the year, and the coaches are aware of that. I think also new coaching assistants have come into the club, so they're becoming aware of what players can and can't do. Look, I mean, that said, I mean that's a terrific effort. I wasn't quite aware of Uni Blues, actually having won their last 2 despite the round 1, because I thought, which really I should have been, but that was actually surprising because after that first round, I did begin to think, oh wow,
they're looking really good at the moment, Uni Blues, and I don't know if D-La are the 4th best side. I think Old Trinity at the moment still hold that handle.
That said, Trinity, no injuries at this stage, and they went up against St Kevin's old boys.
Well, Mimi went down in the first quarter, so that would be their first, and Kyriakopoulos actually has a foot issue at the moment, so hopefully it's nothing too serious, but we'll get more on that throughout the week, but we'll be back with more after the break.
Anytime is the right time to get fit at Anytime Fitness. Access over 400 gyms across the country 24/7 and discover why more Australians train at Anytime Fitness than any other gym. Go online and register now for your free 7-day pass and feel something better.
Welcome back to VAFA Tragics. Now, after a lightning premiership, 3 grading rounds, we finally have our 5 sections of women's. Nicole, tell us more.
So we've actually had 5 teams go up to the Wilson's Women Premier section. So 1 team from each grading group, the top of the ladder, has gone up, except for grading group 6, which Bo Morris were a bit stiff not to make it. But anyway, the Premier Division, as we said, are Scott Saints, the Renegades, Fitzroy ACU, and then they're joined by Caulfield Old Grammarians, the Marshall and Sheagles, Melbourne University, Old Trinity, and Old Zavarians.
Yeah, it was interesting to see Ajax have gone down to Division 3. A Sunday competition too. It's really good for those 5 clubs who have really been performing, but also for all the other girls, obviously. Now they're going to be in sections more to do with their own playing ability. Competitive balance will be a lot better. I think it's important to state they are called development divisions because, as per the VAFA rules, we will establish and run a women's premier section and a women's development competition. It also allows for flexibility for second year swapping of teams. So if a team in Development Division 3 get a lot of girls in the off season, they can go up to Division 1. And also into the future, we look like we're going to get another 10 clubs next year, so we can have a Premier section, a Division section, and also a Development section. So it gives you that flexibility, and so that is why they are called Development Divisions.
I really like the the second year swapping of sections. That's fantastic because you get a really good recruits in the off season. Instead of just going up and up like the steps, you can just jump a couple if you need. But there's no point being in Division 3 and smacking sides every week by 200 points. No one learns anything there.
No, I think it's also the enjoyment factor too.
Yeah,
At the moment,
right.
the enjoyment factor and the feel-good factor amongst the girls is really high. But if they're going to get belted every week, as you say, Brendan, by
It's going to
200,
wear off a bit.
absolutely. And really, the VAFA have made a really good call on this.
Yep. 10 clubs next year is fantastic as well.
At least.
At least. Yeah.
Stay tuned for more.
Jocks?
Possibly. Very good women's side a few years ago. Yeah, made grand finals, but had to disperse. But maybe the Jocks will get up a side in the coming years.
Brenton, now I know you wanted to talk about this. Last Wednesday night, in regards to the Elstonwick Park redevelopment. So Bayside City Council met on Wednesday night to discuss 3 possible options moving forward about the Elstonwick golf course.
Yes.
Now, what came out of that was great news from the council. Voted to upgrade Elstonwick's current home ground on Oval 2 with new change rooms and a social room. Now, the golf club will be retained for the immediate future until the private operator leasing the course advises their intentions next year. Now, the third oval that we're after wasn't an option on the night, but mid-next year they'll decide whether they want to take up that second of a 5-year option, the leasing company of the golf course, and if not, it leaves open for the chance to get that third oval and create a real sporting hub at Elstonwick Park.
I know that the sticking points for Elstonwick Amateur Football Club and Elstonwick Cricket Club were that the wording from the council was the redevelopment of Oval 2 wouldn't allow for junior sport. Now that was rectified by the council. It would be allowed for not be allowed for senior sport. Sorry, it would be allowed for junior sport. That was rectified. Senior sport will be allowed on Oval 2, and yes, it does need a massive revamp, which is fantastic. Club rooms and I believe a pavilion going in as well.
A new pavilion going in. Just they might cut into the embankment behind the umpires' rooms there. Maybe.
Could they, though, if you think about that, could they actually, one facility facing one way, one facility, just one?
How good would that be?
But Elstonwick Park could be a massive sporting hub for the southern Bayside region and south of Melbourne. It's the land is there. The 9-hole goat track golf course will still be retained, but the land is there, and yes, there's also ovals in Elstonwick Park that get used for dog parks. But I didn't take. When there's cricket in winter, Marty, I'm trying to take my dog for a walk down Elstonwick Park. There's cricket in winter. It's a little bit annoying, but we welcome all sports in Elstonwick Park, don't we? We do,
but I was going to actually say, surely with the growth of women's, and I know that there would be pressure under a lot of councils. Nicole, you'd love the idea of a third ground, which then could actually almost be a dedicated. We could run women's on a particular day, so you actually make double headers, triple headers.
Exactly right.
Have games on 2 to 3 ovals. Be terrific.
So it's next year they'll meet on that again, will they?
Yeah, they'll meet on that mid next year.
Yep.
But who knows, if the social rooms do go where they could go, we could have them used for that oval number 2 and the new oval, potentially, if it gets done.
Fantastic.
That is all we have for this week's VAFA Tragics. Action-packed, Brenton Mann.
It certainly was. There's plenty in there. Maybe we'll get a report from Lenny during the week, I'm sure.
I'm sure we will. And special thank you to Marty Callagher for your return.
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed it.
And Nicole, thank you for joining us yet again.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you do tune in again next week for more VAFA Tragics. For this week's Tragic Take, I just want to give a shout out to all the social media guys at all of our clubs. We've seen a bunch of new initiatives this year, including Sam Hibbins and Lockie Ferguson down at Collegians with the Lions Den. We've got Satch Chats with D. Larsell, player profiles with Old Trinity, Q&As with Zavs, and Nodders even have a pick of the week. It's allowing supporters and community members into the inner sanctum like never before. And how else would we know that Brett Barrett's celebrity crush is Cheryl from Married at First Sight? It's fantastic stuff, and we hope to see a lot more of it as the season wears on.